Okay, so we've gotten to the point now where we know pretty much all of the Python language, and it's time to start leveraging a lot of different libraries that are out there. So you can do some really nice things with it. And so we saw the Easy Graphics package from a programming exercise back when we were learning about inheritance, and you hopefully saw the value of being able to bring in code that somebody else has written and then extend it and use it in your own application. And it's an enormous productivity enhancer, and it really makes, in my opinion, it makes programming a lot of fun because you don't need to actually deal with every little detail. You can start to really move very quickly and develop some really nice applications. And so in this set of slides, I'm just going to talk about PyLab, which is a library for plotting charts and graphs, which obviously are going to be really important if you're doing any kind of programming in the sciences. You're going to have to show your data. You have to display your data. Normally, a picture really explains the data much better than just kind of raw text output. But unfortunately, the book's reliance on Python 2 um, sort of wreaks a little havoc in terms of getting started with PyLab. The textbook sort of assumes that you have PyLab already installed, and if you have, we've been working with Python 3, and in Python 3, um, PyLab is not there with it, and in addition, PyLab has been actually kind of morphed into a much larger library called Matplotlib. And you can Google that, you can look that up, and you can find a lot of documentation on that. Fortunately, once you get this all set up on your system, and you have to do a little extra work now as opposed to what the textbook kind of outlined. But once you get this installed on your system, it is the library itself hasn't changed. All right, so the code that you work with to create these plots is exactly the same as it was in the textbook. So the way I'm going to recommend you getting this, especially if you're on a Mac, if you've installed Windows, it should work this way as well. You can use pip, which is the package manager that comes with Python. And again, as I mentioned in the beginning of this talk, there's a whole world of libraries and open source packages that do really great stuff. And one of the most powerful things you can do as a programmer is learn to be comfortable bringing these packages in, learn how to install things, learn how to read documentation, and it's a skill that you have to learn. It can be frustrating at first. So in Python, there's a huge community of developers that have donated libraries like this. So PyLab is just one of these. It's free. It's just Python code. You could write it yourself. It would take a tremendous amount of time, but you can do it. But instead of you spending all your time doing that, you can install one of these things. So typically pip is the easiest way to install these packages. So on a Mac, I know that on my system pip3 install matplotlib. I use Python 3. I have to actually type Python 3 in my terminal. So pip3 was what I used to install this, and it went and downloaded a bunch of libraries that are dependencies of this program. If you've been typing Python into your command line, then just type pip. You don't need to type pip3. If you're on Windows, I've seen it work. I've seen pip3 work fine. If you're having problems with it though, please go to this website. They have binary installers, so installation packages that you can install and get this to work. On a Linux machine, you actually use your Linux distributions package manager to install Matplotlib. So you can go ahead and do that as well. And at this point in time, just if you're having trouble getting PyLab to install correctly and you can't get through these lecture sites, contact me right away so we can work through and diagnose whatever issue it is that you're going to have, because you're going to need to be able to run to execute some plotting code. All right, so once you get that installed, there's actually very little you need to do. beyond what's in the that's different that's in what's in the textbook. The only thing of any real significance is that in the textbook we just have import Pylab. Now Pylab is no longer, as I mentioned, it's not really the name of the library anymore. So instead, we're going to, in our source code, we're going to do an import of matplotlib.pyplot. Right, so it's a sub package of this matplotlib module. We haven't really used the as keyword, but I'm going to recommend that you do that here. So implement matplotlib.pyplot as Pylab, and what that allows you to do is basically give you a synonym. So we've done a lot of like import time. You could say import time as time, and that would be fine. It wouldn't really change the way you were calling it. But you could also say import time as A, right? And then you could have accessed the time function through the package a.time, open and close parentheses. So we're applying a synonym here. And the value of this is that now your source code can actually match exactly what's in the textbook if you include this import statement at the top. So I'm going to bring up this source code, and this is kind of like a stripped down a little program. I've got my import statement that I'm going to recommend that you use, and then I've got a very, very basic plot. All right, and so the purpose of this little program is just to ensure that it's installed correctly on your machine. So what I would do is, if I was at home, I would actually go ahead and type in this program. And then run it and make sure that you see what I see. So if I bring up my terminal and I run my code, Python, you'll see that I get just a nice standard little graph. So what I'd want you to do at home right now is just ensure that when you run this exact code or any variation, that you can get a simple graph up. And if you can't, if there's errors being thrown, if you can't find matplotlib, please go to their website and follow the instructions to download it for your platform. If none of that works and you get kind of lost, please make sure that you contact me right away so you don't lose a lot of time with that, getting your machine up and running. Okay, so learning Pylab. All right, so this is kind of a different module in that I'm not really going to add a lot to the book in terms of what they explain. All the source code in the book will run unaltered in a Python 3 environment now that you have that import statement with the synonym for Pylab. The book does a very good job of explaining all this kind of stuff, and more importantly, all the information's out there. So anything that you want to do with Pylab, there is documentation online. If you can't find it in a textbook, go to the Matplotlib website. There's tons and tons of documentation and tutorials there. And the quicker you become accustomed to finding these answers, like which function does what, or how do I make the x-axis scale differently or something like that, the quicker you learn how to find those type of an answer, the better you are going to be leveraging a lot of these modules that are out there. And there are literally tens of thousands of different modules out there that you can bring into your program and really up the speed in which you can develop things. So you learn new libraries, just kind of close this section. You learn new libraries by experimenting and working with it, just like you learn programming by working with it. So I would read chapter 11, make sure that your installation does work, and then go, and I'm specifically pointing you to programming exercise 26. If you get stuck working with the plotting, it's kind of a new idea for you. Watch my solution just to kind of get you unstuck.